Let us open our mind.
I know leadership don't need to love don't mean retaliation. If we don't stop, it parade, they celebrate. Eat caviar, drink champagne. It parade, they celebrate. At the death of a child of a slave. Child of a slave. Remember your forefathers' tears, the lives which was lost for us to see peaceful years when shots stop. Who remains flat? If people break, they celebrate. Eat caviar, drink champagne. If people break, they celebrate. At the death of the child of a slave. Prophet thought. Open our mind. We don't stop. Open our mind. The child of a slave. Open our mind.
Peace, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Proper Thought series right here on the old T.P.O.T. YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why you are here. Good show coming up tonight, but I do have a bit of bad news. Y'all know that I got a lady Princella up here tonight, and I was supposed to have Dr. Yaya too, but the doc just hit me up like 20 minutes ago, said she might not be able to make it, so I don't know. I got my fingers crossed. She might just come through, y'all. Y'all know how the doc is. She really, really busy, but she might fuck around and surprise us, but she did hit me up, and she was like, oh, X, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it, so there we go. So you're stuck with my ass and Lady Princella. So, yeah, so tonight, here on the old Hours of Power, we're going to be talking about the power of personal development. And I got my good friend, Lady Princella, in the house tonight. Those of you who follow the Proper Thought series, you know that Lady Princella is a friend of the show. She's been fucking with X ever since X was in the booth. So, you know, she's not new to what's going on here. She's very familiar with the T.P.O.T platform. So we're going to chop it up tonight. But before we get started, y'all, first and foremost, I want to thank y'all for the donations last week. It's crazy because I only come on once, twice a week. So usually I'm thanking y'all for something y'all did a week ago, but y'all already used to this shit. I want to thank y'all for the donations, man. I appreciate it. I know TPOT is a small platform, but the supporters of this platform have very, very, very big hearts and very big minds, and they are very generous, and they are always hitting me off. They support this platform, and I'm not just talking about with their coins. Of course, your coins are good. Anybody who say they don't like money is telling a goddamn lie. But it's not just about your coins. You support this channel with your views, with your shares. You show up to these live streams every week. So if you down with this, platform, I consider you a supporter, whether you donate to the platform or not. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm grateful for all of you, and I say that sincerely. Y'all know by now that I don't just say stuff to kiss your butts and stroke your egos. I sincerely, sincerely appreciate it, and I thank you for all of what you do. But anyway, got Lady Princella on the line. What's good, Lady Princella?
Oh, all things are great, fantastic, and magnificent.
Okay. You and I had spoke on the phone earlier this week, right? And you said that you are on this personal development thing. So it made me want to talk about it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead and start off with you. Um, Personal development. What does that mean?
What does it mean?
Yes.
It means improving upon yourself. It means knowing yourself. A lot of times when people speak about knowledge of self, they get so far out into the atmosphere or into the stratosphere that they never really understand self. They get into a superficial um, I guess, understanding of self, but it's never really the true self. A lot of the times people deny who they actually are and try to cling on to something that they would like to be that's really not them. So what I'm speaking of is emotional maturity, financial growth, willpower, these things, and how to develop those things and how to get rid of trauma.
So do you think that many of us lack, um, I don't want to say lack personal development per se, but do we lack the ability to to develop ourselves personally? Do we suffer from that, many of us?
Um, I won't say you lack the ability, you lack the desire, and you lack the knowledge of how to. And when people are confused and they don't know where to go, they don't even try. Confusion is probably one of the worst things that could ever happen to somebody, because when you're confused, you're stagnant and you don't go anywhere. And so when a lot of people get to that point, they just don't do anything.
Wow. So what's the answer to that? I mean, if you're a person that's kind of stuck, and you don't really have too much direction, or you don't have, let's say you don't have the desire to do any personal development on yourself. What's the answer to that person? Should we go down in grandma's basement and splash water on them?
No, there's nothing.
What?
No, there's nothing you can do for that person, because you said something very key. They don't have the desire. When there's no desire, there's nothing you can do for a person, because success is all in the mind, and that's accompanied by willpower. You have to have a desire. If you don't have a desire, you're not gonna accomplish anything. So the first two primary necessities is care, because care and desire are two totally different things. You have to care first. A person who don't care about life, about anything, they're not going to have a desire to do anything. So you got to first care. Now, if a person does care, but they don't have the desire, there's nothing you can do to make a person have desire. That's internal. They have to figure that out on their own.
So what if, okay, what if a person is, in a rut? You know how some people say, "Oh, I'm in a rut," whatever the hell that means. But they say they're in a rut, and they don't have the job that they want. They're not making the money that they want. So if you're not making the money that you want, usually you don't have the car that you want, the house that you want, the lifestyle that you want. Usually, okay, usually. So when we talk about personal development, do we develop ourselves as a person and then all that other stuff improves, or is it vice versa? Do you get the better job? Do you make the more money, and
Well,
then the personal development
you
happens?
can't get a better job if you don't better yourself, because how you gonna get a better job if you don't have no drive? How you gonna do that? How are you going to get up from what you're doing and go beat the pavement or put in extra time to build your own business if you don't have a desire, if you don't have a drive? So you have to build yourself before you can even get any new opportunities. See, I've been there. I've been there. I done lived on the streets twice. I done been in between a rock and a hard place. And the only difference between me and a lot of people is I had the drive. I beat the pavement until I found something. But before I did that, I did door-to-door sales in Houston, brand new, walking all over this city, knocking on doors, selling gift cards and credit card machines until I made it. I didn't create excuses. A lot of times people create excuses, and not only do they create excuses, they focus on what they want. When I was in that situation, I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. I worked from 6 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock the next morning. Whenever the dealership closed and whenever the managers left, that's when I left. And sometimes we would be in there till 1 o'clock in the morning. So the question is, do you want what you say you want bad enough? Because if you want a new car, you want a new job, how much money are you spending on cigarettes? How much money are you spending on going out to eat? Are you willing to give up some of those things? A lot of times people ain't willing to give up anything, but they still want something.
So is personal development, well, when we talk about personal development, are we talking about developing the whole you, or just the parts of you that need work? Because some parts of you may not need work. you know I mean, it's just like, if you're working out, you may have a nice chest and nice arms, but you may have flabby legs, so you may not have to work the arms and the chest as much. So I
As
mean,
much as much, but you can't stop working them either. Because what happens when you stop working what you think is already developed? You regress. So
yeah,
you can't
it's true.
never stop. So when you're developing yourself, it is an ongoing process, because the moment that you stop, you go backwards. So life is a journey, not a destination. Once you make it to one spot, a checkpoint, you got to create another checkpoint to go to. So a lot of times people give up in the race and they stop long before they hit 25. A lot of times it's like it's a lot of times people get to the point, once they believe they're grown, they think they know everything, and that there's nothing else to learn, there's nothing else to develop. But when you hit 25, the majority of people haven't even made it to a basic level of just being an adult or a human at all, even when you hit 25. So if you don't have direction, you got to get some direction. But you can't get no direction if you don't know where you want to go.
It's
So
true.
this is a process. You backwards plan. First of all, you got to know where it is you want to go. Then you got to know what route to take to get there, and come up with multiple routes and see which one is the most efficient route to get there. But not only that, you have to know where you're at. A lot of people lie to themselves. They lie to themselves and make themselves believe they are somewhere that they're not. Well, if I drop you off in the middle and I tell you that hey, I'm dropping you off in Los Angeles. This is where you at in Los Angeles. I'm dropping you off here. Get to New York. Well, if you already starting off in a fictitious place, because I actually dropped you off in New Mexico, but you think you are in Los Angeles, how you gonna get to New York if you're not even starting from the right place?
Do you think that that's what often happens to many of us? I mean, you know, us as Black folks, do a lot of us not know where we are? And that's what keeps us from knowing, you know, where we going and all that kind of stuff. I mean, do you think that that's a problem with many of us?
I don't think that Black folks don't know where they are. I think they're in denial of where they are. And they don't want to admit and they don't want to accept where they are because it hurts their ego too much. And so to keep this ego from hurting, they have to sugar. They have to tell themselves something sweet. I've never been the person to lie to myself. I'm not going to lie to anybody else, but I'm dang sure not going to lie to myself. I'm going to be honest about my strengths, my weaknesses, and where I need to improve in order for me to get to where I'm going. Because if I don't do that, if I don't fix what's real and I try to fix what's fake, I'm never ever going to get the real results that I want if I'm trying to fix something that's fake.
Got it. Got it. So let's talk about the collective development. You know, the development of, hey, what's good? I see y'all up there. What's up, Brother Supreme? Let's talk about the collective development.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we often hear, you know, here on this YouTube shit, you know, and everywhere else in media, you know, what Black folks need to do, what Black folks need not to do, unity and unification and all this kind of stuff we hear. You know, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this, we need to do that. Do you think that the idea of the quote unquote collective development, does that stymie, does that stall personal development
It
when you're
does.
focused on the collective?
It's so funny that you asked that question because I swear I was just having that exact conversation with one of my friends just the other day. People are too focused on, let me back up before we get into this collective thing. Let me first say that there is no such thing as good and bad. And the reason why
boy, here we go.
This is
Here
necessary.
we go.
This is necessary for this collective conversation.
Mm-hmm.
There is no such thing as good and bad. There is no such thing as right and wrong. There is no such thing as positive and negative. The only thing that exists is a desirable outcome versus an undesirable outcome. And people base that on how they feel about something. Now, why is that important for the collective? Because what you as an individual feel is the most desirable outcome, you're basing this on how you feel and the information you've gotten, and you're projecting your thoughts and your feelings onto other people who do not view an outcome, who do not have that desirable outcome as their outcome. It's not a desirable outcome for them. They don't really care what your desirable outcome is. So now what happens is you have a bunch of quote unquote woke people who have this fantasy or this illusion in their mind that they have deemed as more desirable, quote unquote right, quote unquote the best way to go, more desirable. And they're trying to force people who don't have that as a desirable outcome to have it as a desirable outcome. So now you waste energy, time, and effort on people who you can't control, as opposed to focusing all of that energy and that time on self-improvement. You have broke people trying to tell other broke people how to get money or how to start a business. Why you ain't started one? Why are you too busy talking about this desirable outcome for other people who don't have this desirable outcome when you can just get up and do it? You're wasting time doing that. And that's typically what's going on in the quote unquote Black sector. Too many talkers, not enough doers.
So you say, okay, because you and I, we've spoke about this before. You say there is no right and wrong. There is no good and bad. So basically, I guess you're saying that it's all based on what your perception of right and wrong, good and bad is, right?
No, not even necessarily that. I'm telling you that it's based on how you feel about something. That's it. And if something make you feel bad, you gonna say it's wrong, or you gonna say it's bad. But guess what? The way you feel about certain things is not the way somebody else feel about certain things. You think so? When example, when you get on a higher level, when it comes to business and making money, and when you are an investor, you want interest rates to be high. A high interest rate is a good thing because you make more money on high interest rates on your money. But if you working every day and you can't afford to eat and interest rates go up, you're going to say that's bad because it make you feel bad, but it make that other person feel good. So who's right? Who's wrong? Ain't no such thing. You're only labeling that based on how you feel about said situation. And guess what? When your circumstances change, your feelings change. And when your feelings change, your opinions change.
Mm. So, well, I can go along with that to a certain extent because, I mean, some shit we all know is bad, just like some shit we all know is good, right? So, but you saying it don't matter.
No,
It
not
doesn't matter.
necessarily, because here's the thing. Collectively, certain things make the majority of people feel bad.
Mm.
Okay? Collectively. Example, we talked about this when we talked about the Aisha Curry thing. It's a natural thing. It is a natural thing for humans to respond and act the way they do on every level. But guess what? Because women are not designed to be monogamous, contrary to what males want to push. They're not designed that way. Biologically, they're not. But when a woman goes and sleeps with another dude, guess what? That makes a dude feel bad. And immediately he's going to label it as bad. The same way that a female is, but this is just how it is. This is what it is. This is biologically what it is. The male is not designed to be monogamous either. And guess what? If he goes and does what's in his nature, the female is going to say it's bad. How can you label nature bad? Because it don't make you feel good. That's why you're labeling it bad.
Okay, I'm gonna roll with this. I'm gonna roll with this. Now, is part of personal development starting to understand these things? Like, I mean, the things that you talk about where, one person thinks it's bad, one person thinks it's great. I mean, is that part of our quote unquote personal
Yes,
development?
it is part of the personal development because you have to know yourself. You're too busy focused on other people trying to make them do something when you should be focused on yourself and self-improvement. Focus instead of being the pot calling the kettle black. Understand that what you're pointing the finger, you're doing the same thing that you're pointing the finger at people doing. So instead of focusing on the exterior of people that you can't get to move, you're never going to get to move. In my say, you're never going to get that to happen. Why waste that time and energy on that when you could develop a new skill? When you can begin to find out what your nuances are, your idiosyncrasies are, and begin to govern and control yourself, get your house in order. It's just way too many things that you could be focusing on besides what somebody else is doing. Because the person that you're judging don't even see the world in the same desirable outcome as you see it. What you believe is a desirable outcome, they don't believe it's a desirable outcome. It's not a desirable outcome for them. So you're spinning your wheels trying to force them to see something and want what you want in life. Other people are never going to want what you want. Yeah, you might find a couple other people that say they want what you want. But when you actually look on the scale and see how they live their lives and see them do what they do every day, everybody want to be rich, but don't nobody want to do what rich people do. Nobody wants to do what rich people do. So again, when it comes to personal development means this: shut your mouth, put your head down, and go in and begin to create the best version of yourself. And creating the best version of yourself is to get rid of bad habits or habits that prevent you from moving or progressing in the direction that you desire to progress in.
So should we not be focused on the collective then? Because if we're just worried about us, we're not worried about anyone else. That's individual development. That's not collective development, right?
That's
so should
personal, individual. I didn't think personal meant group.
So we shouldn't
No,
we shouldn't focus on the
no,
group.
you shouldn't. Let me ask you this: show me where Black people got by continuously talking about the collective and focusing on the collective. What we got as a collective? Where have we gotten with that? But I can tell you where individuals have gotten by getting out of that mentality of focusing on people that they don't have no control over. I don't have no control over you. You don't have no control over me. I have no control over anybody in your audience. And they don't have control over anybody elsewhere. So why are they focusing on those people?
Well, I mean, I can agree with you there. I mean, I focus on me and, my wife and, my dog and, my grandkids. I don't really focus on the collective. I mean, I think about the collective, but I mean, far as my primary focus isn't the collective. I mean, it's focused on this small collective that emanates from me. But I mean, I try not to focus on this big old broad thing because I know there's millions of people out there that I know I can't do shit for, okay,
Listen,
or against for that matter.
You got people who can't even control their own household. Their kids are out of control and they don't know how to get their kids back in control. So if you can't even handle your own kids who are under your roof, what you gonna do for somebody that you don't even know, that don't even know you? You can't even control what's in your house. Not only can you not control what's in your house with your own kids, a lot of people can't even control themselves. They can't control themselves, but they so focused on trying to control and govern somebody else that's 200 miles away from them. You in Texas, but you trying to talk about what somebody need to do in New York. People out here having kids and can't even stop or control their own sex drive, but you want to tell somebody else what they need to do. No. The last person you need to be talking about is anybody else. You need to be focusing on yourself and getting your life right. If you even know what right is. Maybe there is no concept of right in your mind. Maybe right and wrong only applies to the people that you condemning on the outside.
Well, if we don't know what right and wrong is, you said there's no right and wrong, there's no good and bad. So
for the self, because again, Right and wrong is based on how people feel. It's not based on anything concrete. It's not. The reality is this. This is the reality. Everything in nature, everything that exists in humans is natural. Every single thing that you can fathom that exists in humans is natural. But when you start to think about all of these things that exist in humans, you dislike a lot of the nature that exists in humans. And you want to eradicate a lot of the nature that exists in humans. And you're labeling a lot of nature as bad. Why? Because it doesn't make you feel good, even though it's natural, a part of your biology. So again, if people are labeling what is biologically natural bad, then you now have to tell me what is bad. What is bad if you're going to label nature bad? The fact of the matter is, it has everything to do with how you feel about said subject. Don't have anything to do with anything else. And collectively, there are certain things that make the majority of people feel bad. And so collectively, people label these things as bad, seemingly, until you get into other cultures and you realize this is a good thing over here, but it's a bad thing in America. Well, how is that? Because there is no such thing as good and bad. It's based on how people feel about it.
Wow. Well, I guess what you're saying is, if I feel like, hey, I need to get my life right, and I go out here and I rob a couple banks, and get me like $500,000. If I perceive that as right, that's right.
Yeah. In your
That's right.
mind,
If
yeah.
I perceive it as
If
right.
you perceive it as right, yeah, because guess what? What you did just made you feel better because now you ain't hungry no more. Now you ain't broke no more. Now you get to run around in the car you always wanted. And so guess what? It was just a thing for you. You got people who do that. There was a guy, they had him masked up, and what he did, he hacked banks and stole people credit card information. And he said, I steal because I know that the bank's gonna replace these people money. And I'm gonna keep doing it. He don't see that as bad. He don't feel no kind of way about it. But who does feel some kind of way about it? The people who getting their money stolen, not the people who are doing the stealing.
Wow.
So what is good and bad? It don't exist. It's only about how you feel. Because when the shoe is on the other foot, things change. When your feelings change, your opinions change. That's just how unstable good and bad is.
So let me ask you this, Lady Princella. I mean, you're a mother now, right? You're a mother.
Mm-hmm.
I have four. Well, they ain't kids; they goddamn adults. But um, so should we be teaching our offspring this? Should we be teaching them there is no good or bad or right or
It's
wrong?
all about more desirable. It's either more desirable or less desirable. Okay, just like there was a post today where the guy was whooping or beating his 12-year-old daughter for having sex. Okay, that it makes many males, many fathers feel bad to even fathom their daughters having sex. But sex is a natural thing. Sex is a natural thing. The whole purpose of even having sex is for reproduction. Okay, that's one of the major purposes of sex, to reproduce. Every creature in this world reproduces and creates their offspring for reproduction. However, the simple thought of nature being a part of a male's daughter is the most devastating, bad thing that the male can think of, even though it is a natural occurrence. So, what occurs with that is this: you don't have to force people to do something that's natural to them. You do have to force people to do something that's unnatural to them. And unnatural is telling people that sex is bad, even when you know this is a part of your biological makeup. Okay. So the more desirable thing, because sex is neither good or bad, it just is what it is. The more desirable outcome would be for your daughter to wait to have sex until she's at a mature age, socially, in this reality. That's the more desirable thing. But it ain't wrong because a person is going off of their biological programming. This is how a person is designed to be. So how are we labeling a person's biological makeup bad and then putting something in their head to psychologically destroy them, to make them think that the way they was created is bad?
But Lady Princella,
Mm-hmm.
we have to start somewhere. I mean, it can't be a anything goes type of
I didn't
thing.
say that. I didn't say that. I just changed the terminology. I said more desirable, less desirable. This is the most desirable outcome that I would like you to go for because of such and such, such and such, such and such. You can't tell somebody, don't do this, and then never explain to them why. You can't go and tell somebody this is bad and condemn them for something natural. The best way to do that would be to talk to somebody, talk to your child, okay, and let them know the world around them and let them know who they are. Humans are sexual beings. There's nothing wrong with getting hormones rushing through your body and having feelings. If it was wrong, it wouldn't happen to you. So instead of condemning people and children for what naturally goes on, sit there and talk to them and don't shame them for something that's natural. Just because you don't want them to do such and such, there's a better way to do it. It's more than one way to skin a cat. And psychological damage is not the most desirable way to do that. It's not. Don't go and tell your daughter she's a slut and a whore and a bitch because she just got a rush of estrogen. And now she's at sexual maturation biologically. You ain't saying nothing to your son when you walk in and catch him jacking off at 13 years old, but you're ready to beat your daughter to death and call her bitch, hoe, and slut because she is experiencing a natural phenomenon. That's ignorant, it's destructive, and there's nothing good coming out of it. So accept what is. Biology is not bad. It just is. And inform your children of what they're going to expect. The reason why you got so much teen pregnancy is because people are so doggone, oh, it's so bad. Sex is so taboo. You don't even want to talk to your kids. So now the children go out and find out by themselves because they can't trust you to be the guidance person that you're supposed to be. You let them go out and figure it out on their own. Because I'm so insecure. It's bad. I don't want to. That's ignorant and it's childish. Grown folks are too old and too grown in their mind. They're so quick to tell somebody else online, oh, I'm a grown ass man, I'm a grown ass woman, but you scared to talk to your daughter about the birds and the bees. You scared to talk to her.
So are we responsible for our children's personal development? Are we directly responsible for their personal development, or do we just kind of, coach it along?
Well, no, there's stages to it. There's stages. Of course, here's the thing. In order to move along in this process properly, you have to map out the stages of development. You have to know where you are. A lot of parents and a lot of people do not even understand human psychology. They don't understand brain development. So they don't even know where the children are in their developmental process. So how can you coach something? How could you guide somebody when you don't even know where they are in this stage of development? So the thing is, humans are not created from the top down. You have what is called Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. Okay. This is taught in medical schools. This is taught everywhere. Okay. This is one of the main foundations. Even Iceberg Slim, the pimps, Maslow's hierarchy is the foundation of the pimp playbook. Okay. So this is not just some theory or just something this is practical information that is used in medical and high level educational fields, including the pimp industry. Okay. So humans are not created from the top down, they're created from the bottom up. And their primary needs are psychological. That's the base, psychological needs. And the needs of every human is food, water, shelter, sex. Sex is a human need, not a want. It is a human need. So when you begin to tell somebody that something that is a human need for their biological makeup is bad, and then you begin to condemn these people based on your feelings, and you get to begin to psychologically destroy them, you become very, very responsible for what then happens to them in the future. Okay? Because the psychology is the base of every human function out here. When you destroy the mind, you destroy everything. And so the problem is parents and people do not understand how fragile the psychology of a child is, and they're very frivolous with how they handle children. So to a degree you are. And so once you look at Maslow's hierarchy of human needs and then Erik Erikson's 8 stages of development, and you understand how a child's brain develops over the course of the first 25 years, then you can have a better idea of how you should handle that child. But when you don't know that, you're just doing anything.
Wow. Well, we done been joined by my man Supreme. He was talking some smack in the chat, so I'm gonna give him the opportunity to ask Lady Princella the questions he was asking in the chat, if you don't mind, Lady Princella.
Sure.
Brother Supreme, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's good with you, man?
Hey, what's going on, X? I just listening in to this evening. Had a few minutes, and what's the name? Princella.
Yeah.
Yeah, Princella Clark, Lady
Oh,
Princella.
okay. Oh, okay. Well, nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Um, you were stating a few things about um basically moral relativism. The non-existence of a good or bad, just um outcomes that a person would want or not want. Um, if that's the case, how do you create law without standards of good or bad?
Well, hold on. I think you might have missed what I said. If you go back, I said that it is more desirable and less desirable outcomes. So
Oh, okay.
laws are created to push more desirable outcomes for the people who are creating the law. So laws were created to govern human nature. Religion was created so that people to brainwash people so that they can have some form of self-governance over their biological nature. So in order for you to govern people in a direction, you have to, one, instill fear into them. Two, you have to create a concept of bad. So when you look into biblical text, you will see how often sex is deemed as a sin. How can what is natural to human beings be a sin? How can your very nature be a sin? The reason that it's a sin is because you have the few who govern the world, because it's only a few. You have to create an illusion or a doctrine on the people to persuade them to believe in the concept of bad against themselves in order to govern a large amount of people. Doesn't mean that there's a such thing as good and bad. You just have to make the people believe that there's a such thing as good and bad. And as long as people feel bad, because here's the thing, before you get a bad feeling about something, before you feel bad about anything, you experience it first. You don't even really label anything as bad until it gives you a negative feeling.
So if I smoke crack and I like the way it makes me feel, that's a good thing. If I think it's good.
If you think it's good, yes, because you're basing that on your feelings. You're basing it on your feelings. A dude that's going out cheating on his wife ain't labeling cheating bad. A dude that got multiple women ain't labeling that bad. Who is labeling it bad, though? Who is labeling that bad? He feel good about it. He happy about it. As a matter of fact, go ahead.
So just a question, because I'm just trying to follow this line of reasoning. Mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe we could be a bit more precise and give some examples of different things. Let's say that you have an individual that is doing, like you stated, they're going out and they're having sex as they feel, that's a natural thing, right? Mm-hmm. So what happened if they have a disease and they feel as though they want to continue to have sex with as many people as possible, mm-hmm. and they feel good about that?
Okay, but that's that individual.
Is that a good thing?
To them, it is. The people who are going to label it bad, because again, I'm telling you, this is all based on individual perspective. This is not based on a collective. The only people who are going to feel bad are the people who get impacted negatively. They feel that it's negative, so they're going to label it as bad. All I'm saying is good and bad is based on people's feelings. And when people's feelings change, so will their opinions on what is good and bad. Like I gave the example earlier. The majority of people do not like inflation, and they don't like interest rates. And the reason why they don't like inflation and they don't like interest rates, because their money can't buy what it used to buy. And now they have to work harder and harder and harder. That makes them feel bad. So what they're going to do, they're going to label it as bad. But guess what? The investor doesn't see it as bad. Why doesn't the investor see it as bad? Because he makes more money as inflation goes up and as interest rates go up.
Okay. So again, if a person stays within their individual desires, their individual's desires will ultimately impact a larger group. To give you an example, and let's just go back to some of the basic things that you listed before, like food, water, shelter, so forth. Mm-hmm. Let's say you have what I would consider a madman that says, hey, I enjoy poisoning water supply.
Mm-hmm.
They feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but their destruction of the water supply is going to kill everybody else on the planet.
And I get that, but what I'm telling you is
How
that,
could that not
but
be?
here, listen. People are going to label things as bad when they have been negatively impacted by their feelings. If something is being done that makes a person feel bad, they are going to label it as bad. And so certain things collectively people feel bad about. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You're coming up with a bad based on a collective feeling of certain things. So, example, okay? Collectively, people feel bad about rape. That's a collective, especially when it comes to females, but that's a collective bad feeling. But when you look at nature, nature facilitates this in every creature living on this planet. So, what I'm saying is the act of forcing sex is actually a natural occurrence. But because this natural occurrence makes people feel bad, they're going to collectively label it as bad, even though it is what it is because nature made it that way.
So
All right, wait a
where?
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Whoa,
Damn
whoa,
it,
whoa,
Lady
whoa,
Princella.
Mhm.
whoa.
Now you just said that people collectively think rape is bad.
No, no,
Okay,
no, no.
collectively.
They feel, not think. This is something that impact, because thinking and feeling are two totally different things. I didn't
Okay,
say think.
okay.
I said feel,
You said feel.
because good and bad is based on how people feel about something. So when something impacts somebody and it doesn't make them feel great or euphoric, and it makes them feel nervous, angry, upset, when they feel these feelings, they're going to label whatever is making them feel these feelings, they're going to label it as bad. Okay? The very the fact of the matter is that puberty starts very early in kids. About 10, a girl get up menstrual cycle around 10. Once she hits 10 years old and gets her menstrual cycle, she is biologically, sexually mature. That's biologically, not socially, but biologically, naturally. She's ready to produce children. Biologically, she gives off reproductive signals that, guess what? Signals grown ass men. When you think about that as a human, it makes you feel not so good on the inside when you think about that. And so, what do you do? What do you say about that when you think about those feelings? You say it's bad. But now you have to ask the question, how can you label nature as bad? Because nature is what it is. It is what it is and has always been. So now, how do you label something that is, will be, and has always been this way? How do you now label it as bad? The only reason that you can label it as bad is because it don't make you feel good thinking about somebody screwing your 10-year-old girl, your child. It don't make you feel happy on the inside when you think about a grown man, a 35-year-old man screwing your 10-year-old daughter.
I disagree. This is the main point of my disagreement. Long term, um, long term outcomes, and also delayed gratification. Um, think about children. Children from the time that they get a taste of something sweet, they have a natural desire for more sweet. But we as parents, we delay that gratification because we understand that it is not going to be good for their bodies in the long term. It's the
I
same
think
thing with sex.
I think
We
you're getting
delay
a
it
little
because in the long term, it's not going to have a good effect upon the individual.
I
There's a lot of things that we don't. It's not saying that those things are just all the way bad. It's not saying that, but just like a person can say, "Hey, I'm leaving um, a 5-year-old in the house," and I tell them, "Hey, do not touch the stove." I'm not telling them that fire is bad. I'm saying that they're not authorized to use it yet because they do not understand the repercussions of it. And that could be different from a 14 or 15-year-old that understands how to use fire and it's dangerous.
But see, you're going into something that I'm not even talking about. All I'm saying is there is no such thing as good and bad. What there is a such thing is more desirable and less desirable outcomes. So you don't want a child, okay, to eat too many sweets because the outcome is not going to be desirable. The outcome is going to end up in illness because it is what it is. Things are, there's nothing more than situations, circumstances, and events. The only difference is the feelings that you place on each situation, circumstance, and event. So when you talk about cause and effect, that's all we're talking about, cause and effect. There is a desirable effect and there's an undesirable effect.
Okay.
Okay.
So
And
if
so the undesirable effect is what you're going to label as bad for you. For you.
okay, so if let's say if a parent, let's say I'm gonna just throw X underneath the bus. X let X says I'm gonna follow the advent of there is no good, there is no bad, there's just um
Less
out
desirable and more desirable.
more less and more desirable outcomes,
Mhm.
and there's nature. My kids, I naturally let them grow up as they saw fit.
Okay.
Whether that
And
means they wanted to eat candy all day
all
long,
right.
if they wanted to drink
And are
soda
you
all day
doing
long as a
are you
baby.
doing that? Are you doing that because it's desirable for you? Because again, I honestly don't, I really don't even know what we're talking about. People are naturally going to do what they desire to do. That's right. So X might desire to steer his children in the vision that he has for himself because the vision that he created is most desirable for him.
Well, what I'm saying is what happens if he just steps away from that whole thing of, you know what, I can't push my desires on anybody else. Let me let these children naturally figure it out for themselves.
And if he does that, that's just a choice that he made. But who said that you don't create a desirable outcome? Who said that? I didn't say that. I
No, no,
said
I'm,
I
yeah, I'm not.
said there is no such thing as good and bad. Things are what they are. They are what they are. People are always going to rob and steal. It don't matter how much you tell them not to, they're going to do it. No matter how much you tell people not to have this sex, they're going to have sex because it's natural. It is what it is. How you feel about that is how good and bad even comes about, because you're labeling things that are naturally here and always going to be here. They were here before you got here, they're going to be here after you leave. You're labeling them as bad because you don't like it. You don't like nature. You don't like the way nature does things. Black folks don't like the way nature allowed them to be overthrown. But nature says, hey, No animal gets to live and every animal gets to have their own. Lions overthrow each other. Lions overthrow each other. It is what it is. But guess what? Black folks are labeling this very nature as bad. You mad because you lost. The white man overthrew black folks, and you mad because it happened just the way nature facilitated it.
I mean, it's an interesting concept, but the throwback to that is that you basically are stating that mankind is nothing more than another animal on the planet.
Well, it's true. 99 humans share 99% of their DNA with chimpanzees. 99.
Are you
99.
sure?
Yes. You can go
Are you
look it up.
positive?
I'm positive. I'm positive. I'm
Okay.
positive. 99.
Okay. I'll have to pass that along to you later on, because I have a relative that works in the field, and I'm not gonna, I'm not trying to go back and forth with you, but when it comes to the things that man is able to do that animals cannot, I mean the range is completely absurd. Our ability to think and plan and to build things, our ability to be able to create arts, music.
But that's all at the top of,
It's
that's all at the top of Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. That's all at the top of the pyramid. So guess what that means? That means you got to work your way up there. The base of you, which is the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, is eating, sleeping, ejaculating, having fun. All of that is the base of an animal. So our base, our natural programming, before you get to a moral compass, before you get to any of all this other stuff we think is good and bad, you start off as pure animal first in your lower self. You have to build yourself all the way up. The majority of people will never build themselves up to the top of that pyramid because it takes too much work. Because, see, you don't have to force people to do what's natural to them. You do have to force people to do something that's unnatural. And you know what's unnatural? Discipline. Self-discipline, self-governance is an unnatural quality. The majority of people cannot govern themselves.
Let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this, Lady Princella.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about, personal development though, shouldn't there be some type of guideline of what is good and bad, right and wrong? I mean, can you develop as a person? Can you have personal development when you're saying, right and wrong is subjective, good and bad is subjective? Can you really develop as a person thinking that way?
Yes, you can. Ask question. If you couldn't, any thought that you can think exists in the world. If it was impossible, then you wouldn't even be talking to me, first off. You wouldn't even be talking to me, first of all. But second of all, if there was a truly such thing as good and bad, you would now have to ask yourself, how do you get some of the world's most powerful people who have the most manners, who have the most work ethic? Okay, because this ain't about what people feel is good and bad. Personal development, because when you say personal development, you're basing this on what you believe is moral in your mind. And so you're basing, well, my moral standard, what I feel is good and bad, I don't feel that you can develop yourself as a person unless you abide by what I feel is good and bad. No, personal development is about increasing your strengths, and increasing your weaknesses, polishing what you already got, strengthen, and increasing or strengthening your weaknesses to become more productive or to have a more desirable outcome as an individual. If you are happy where you are, then don't do anything. Don't change anything. But if you're not happy with where you are, then change something. You're never going to get rid of anything in this world that you deem as bad. None of the things that you feel bad about are going anywhere ever until this planet is deleted from the universe. Until this planet is deleted from the universe, you're going to have to deal with the reality that you always going to have killing. Nature facilitates and supports killing. Okay? Nature does. Show me where I'm lying. I'll wait. Nature supports every single thing that you deem as bad. And you don't have to force people to do something that's natural to them because it comes easy. It's second nature. So what are people doing that they don't even have to put no thought into? Everything that you think is bad because it's a part of their nature. It's part of their nature and it ain't going nowhere. People have to work too hard to force themselves to get out of bed. You know how much energy it takes for somebody to get out of the bed and do some work? That take a whole lot of work. You know, I'm working on like 3 different projects and I'm taking care of the baby. My husband's not home because he's out on the road. So I got the baby all day, every day. I have to edit these projects. I have to learn a new trade. I have to take care of her. I have to keep the house clean. I got to do all of that. And I have to get out the bed at 2:00 in the morning. You know how difficult it is to do all of that and still be effective? That takes something that goes against a person's nature. A nymphomaniac, he's naturally addicted to sex. You know how much energy and effort it takes to govern himself? He don't have to think about going to have sex.
Just a question though. The history of humanity, so far as we know it, going back to when we can find writings, has been an exercise for thousands of years of fighting against nature, the nature that you say is natural to all mankind. Society that we have right now, from ancient times all the way up till now, if we were individuals that considered nature to be right, we would have, it would be the law of the jungle everywhere, and you would never have any of the higher values that we see around us today.
You don't.
So
You don't have higher values. You think you got higher values, but all over the world, there's calamity. There are 70 million more males in China and in India because they aborted all the little girls because they felt males were better than females. So you got 70 million more males over there than you do women. Okay, so then you have in Africa where they're cutting off the female clitoris. Then you have a large prostitution ring of child sex slaves. Tell me where in this world do you feel that there are high values? Because nowhere in this world are there high values. There's this illusion and this belief, but that's not reality.
So if there were not any high values, how are we able to have this discussion? How are you able to have beats, um, earphones around your neck? How are you able to um, talk about self development if higher values didn't exist?
Higher values is what are you looking at as higher values? Because I don't see Beats headphones as a higher value, and I don't see creating the path that you want to go or developing your weaknesses as quote unquote higher value, because you have people who are doing that, who are running prostitution rings. You have people who are have their strengths and their weaknesses fine-tuned, running businesses, governing themselves, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to bed at 1, getting back up. They're running their lives. They have their good families, but they're still doing things that you would deem as bad. So I don't see how me explaining for people to do or to develop themselves in a line that produces a more desirable outcome for them individually, I don't see how that is correlated to higher value. Because the reality is there is no higher value. There is no morality in this world because there's calamity all over the world.
Okay.
Yeah, but how does personal development take place though, Lady Princella, if you're not trying to do better or have more or have a clearer mind or
better is again subjective. It's based on how a person feels about such and such compared to such and such. Well, I like this more than I like this. Then I look at you and you like, no, this one is better than me. It's better for me. You have people who I feel better about living single. Okay, I'd rather be single. Single life is better for me than being married with children. There is no such thing as better because it's all subjective based on how people feel about it. So again, when we're talking about these things, you're talking about how people feel. If you're going to talk about how people feel, you got to know that everything that you're saying is subjective. If it's based on feelings, which it is. So when we're talking about quote unquote better, I can't say what's better for an individual. That's why I say create a more desirable outcome for yourself. In order to do that, you have to know where you are. You have to know your strengths and weaknesses, and you need to know where you want to go to create a more desirable outcome for yourself. You have to know there is no such thing as good and bad. Okay, it's not. Okay, here's the thing. It's all about how you twist it in your mind. I've been raped. I have had guys do me bad. I've had to live on the streets twice. I've had money taken from me, a large sum of money taken from me. Do I label those situations as bad? Absolutely not. I label them as bought lessons. Okay. They're bought lessons and they taught me something very valuable and it helped me become the person that I am today. Good and bad does not exist. It only depends on the person you're talking to and how they feel about said situation.
so would you say that I guess that was part of your personal development, being able to say, I guess, and think that, all of those things that happened to you in the past weren't bad. They were just life lessons. Would you say that was part of your personal development?
Well, it was a part of my life. My personal development became when I sat and reflected on all of those situations and put the time and energy to use those situations to improve my train of thought, to improve my existence, because you can't control what happens to you. You can't control everything that happens to you. Things are what they are. Those were just situations, those were circumstances, and those were events that occurred in my life. Now, the difference will be is what emotion do I place on it? Do I place a victim mentality, woe is me emotion on that? Or do I make myself a victor and feel good about those things? When I talk about the things that have happened to me, I feel good about them because I'm like, look where I'm at. Look what I made it through. I'm a beast. I'm a beast. A lot of people wouldn't make it through some of the stuff that I made it through. So again, it's about how you feel about something, whether you're gonna label it good or bad or not.
Okay. So what about altruism?
What about it? Explain what you're asking me, please.
Okay. Okay, so when you have individuals that go out, like I think one that's coming on BMT, I know some other ones that have just around the world that do things for other people so that they can have better outcomes in their life. How do you explain that as a part of nature?
I mean, it is what it is. Everything that exists it exists because it exists. It's not fabricated. It's all natural. Everything that we're talking about is a part of nature.
So where do we find other animals that are from other species that go out of their own accord and sacrifice things of their own to give to other animals?
You haven't seen any dogs go and save birds. You haven't seen any cats go and save other humans. You haven't seen these things because animals have a high level of compassion and animals have a high level of thinking process. And so this is one of the things that humans think they are so far removed from animals, but we're not. They're just as intelligent as we are. They just don't have the metacognition, which is only a very small part of the human brain. It's not even the majority. It's like 10% or less of the human brain that's responsible for metacognition. That's the only thing that allows us to recognize or be self-aware. But just because you're self-aware don't mean that the base of your nature is not animalistic. Because if the base of who you are is not animalistic, then you would have been born already in the top of the pyramid. But you're not born that way. You're born here at the base of your nature, which is eating, sleeping, enjoyment, food, air, water. That's the base of every human out here. And when you don't have the base nature satisfied, you cannot rise to some self-actualization pyramid point. You have go ahead.
So you're saying that individuals that don't have those base things can't rise to the higher levels on that said pyramid. But if that was the case, why do you have individuals that do stuff that require self-sacrifice, i.e., not eating so that somebody else can have food, i.e., jumping in front of a bullet for somebody else, i.e., going and working when they could be doing fun stuff just to help build others up?
That lets me know that you haven't researched Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, because everything that you just described is all on the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. What's at the top of Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, though, is leadership, is moral code. All of these things, before you get up there, like a moral code, like you're not finna tell somebody who ain't got food, water, security. You're not about to tell them all these things that are on the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy. You're not about to tell them to have some morality. Because guess what? Premarital sex is a part of some human moral code, right? Now, nature didn't create marriage. That's a concept humans created to govern human nature, okay? So humans now say that it's immoral for a woman to act in her natural, biological way. So if she's out here stripping, prostituting, thotting, or whatever you want to call it, humans are going to label that immoral. But guess what? If she's broke, she ain't got no family support, she don't have no love, exactly how is she going to get to this moral code which is all the way at the top of Maslow's hierarchy, without the foundation being established. We want her to be poor, homeless, nobody loves her, low self-esteem, no family. We want this person to jump all the way above that and get to the top of the pyramid. I don't know nobody who had $10 who had $10 in their pocket today and had 30 million tomorrow. That don't work like that. Humans are not created from the top down, they're created from the bottom up. So a person who hasn't met all of the needs, human needs, and they're not stable, or they're stable, if they don't meet those, they're not going to make it to problem solving, self-actualization, leadership, self-actualization, moral code, self-actualization. Your morality as a rich person or a person who ain't got to worry about no bills is definitely not going to be the same as somebody who got to fight and kill for their next meal.
So basically, you're saying that all of the people that throughout history on the face of the planet that have ever been like slaves or oppressed in any way have never had any moral code.
Wait a minute, what?
Like I said, you're saying that all the individuals that have lived on this planet that have been in positions to where they have been perhaps slaves or oppressed in other various ways to where they did not have the basic needs could not have ever attained to a moral code.
All right. Oh, I'm absolutely saying that, because guess what?
But history shows otherwise.
No, history don't show that, because what history does show is a history of the same stuff that we got going on. But even when you talk about vegans, let's take vegans, for example. Black folks are so bougie now that they think that they just been on this high moral code of not slaughtering animals. Okay, so where did this morality come from? Because last time I checked, over in Africa, they've been slaughtering all types of animals, bush meat, eating and drinking blood and all kind of stuff. So where is this morality? Are we picking and choosing what we think is moral today as opposed to yesterday? Because what we think is moral today is being a vegan and eating clean and not eating no meat, but they drinking blood and washing their hair and piss over there in a lot of them countries. What is moral?
Okay, moral could be a slave still becoming a leader. Moral could be a person that's in a prison that believes in something and dies for it, regardless of the whole thought of here's this food and water if you give up. And
Okay,
there's
so
been
now
people that have died
you want to talk about
because
outliers.
of those moral codes.
So you
But
want to talk about outliers now, though.
well, in this case, it's showing that you cannot show an outlier of a animal that does that, but you can have several
Yes,
millions of human beings
yes, you
that
can.
do just that.
Yes, you can. First off, yes, you can. All right. Okay. So first off, remember, dogs are trained. Canines. Okay. Police dogs. These animals are trained to do jobs that humans do. So let's not get into this fact that we so superior and animals ain't smart enough to do. Let me explain something. There's this bell curve, standard deviation. Okay. Everything that exists will fall in this bell curve. So you're going to have your upper extremes, your upper limits, and you're going to have your lower limits. You always going to have people that make a F in class. You always going to have your 10-year-old geniuses. These are not the norm. The majority of people will be in the C range. So just because you find a couple of outliers, a couple of 10-year-old college graduates, don't mean that that's the standard. So yeah, you can find a poor person who becomes a billionaire. That's not going to be the majority. That's the majority of people are not moral human beings. They're not. That is not the majority. All over the world, you're going to see people selling kids in prostitution rings. You're going to see people kidnapping and raping women. And you're going to see that all over the world. And the majority of people are not going to be able to be on a high horse, when they ain't got no food to eat. And when they ain't got no place to stay. When they don't have a loving family of support. So we say it's immoral for a woman to have an abortion. And we say the solution to an abortion is keeping your legs closed. That is an unnatural suggestion. People are not going to stop having sex because sex is a part of their nature. So to suggest something unnatural because the desirable outcome for you in your personal mind is for a woman to birth a child that she can't take care of, because in your moral mind, I don't want nobody to kill the kids. Well, she gonna kill them anyway if she births them in a situation that is toxic, where she can't provide for them. So what is morality? A woman who is on the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy, sex is a human need. They not gonna stop having sex. So now you create a child. How's she gonna be moral?
So why stop serial killers then? They're just doing what nature allows them to do.
That's not nature. What we already know. Stop it. Stop it. All right. Hey guys, what's going on? I'm listening.
What's good, brother BMT?
I'm just enjoying and I'm listening, and we got to look at some stuff. Okay. We're trying
to hold on. I want to ask Lady Princella this, but then you can go ahead, brother BMT.
All right.
Now we spoke of moral code, right? We're talking about personal development, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it possible to have a moral code when, you have the mind state of, right and wrong is subjective, good and bad is subjective. So don't you have to have some standards of what that is if you got a quote unquote moral code, right?
Do y'all know what desire means? Because I'm telling you, I'm thrown for a loop that we even really argue, I know we're not arguing, we even having a discussion about this. Because
I can't get past because you're saying you're saying that, okay, you talk about moral code, right? You say, okay, a person has a moral code. Fine.
No.
But what is that moral code based on? It's based on what's...
No, I didn't say people have a moral code.
Well, you said most people aren't moral. But if you have a moral code, what is that moral code based on?
Here's the thing. You're missing the key word, desire. Humans are creatures of one habit, and they're emotional. They base their life off of feelings. Okay, so that's why I said if you read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, the first and the primary theme of that whole book is desire. So you can understand what we're saying here. Let me define the word desire for you so you understand what motivates people to move in the direction that they move. You don't have to have a moral code or any code to move in the direction that you feel is right for you. You don't have to have nothing because it's a part of you. So, desire, a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something. A lot of people have a desire for something, okay? What you have a desire or a strong feeling to wish something to happen, you don't have to create a moral code to have a desire for something, okay? So I know that there is no such thing as good and bad. Is that going to stop my desire to create, or is that going to stop my ability to create a desirable outcome for myself? What is desirable for me? Well, what is desirable for me is to bring my husband home so we can have more family time, so that way I can pay for my daughter some karate classes and things like that, have the money that I need to have so I can travel the world and get a house and all these things. That is a desirable outcome for me. But guess what? In my mind, in my fantasy world that I've created in my mind, what is desirable, that is right. Okay, that's the right way. There is a specific way of doing things to get a desirable outcome. All right. But where you're getting hung up at is the fact that you believe that everybody is supposed to have the same desirable outcome. And that's just not reality. It's not nature and it's not reality. And so the only reason that you label something as bad is because it doesn't come out the way that you believe it should come out, and it makes you feel negatively on the inside.
Like I said,
That is the only reason.
like I said, BNT, going by that line of reasoning, then we should have no issue with like a serial killer. He's only
But
doing. He's only.
Stop that, queen. Stop that, queen.
I'm serious.
Why
He's
would you not have an? Here's the issue. You're missing it. Why wouldn't you have an issue with a serial killer? Because a serial killer, if it kills your family member, you're going to feel bad. So based on that feeling, you're going to be motivated to some action.
But what I'm saying is I'm trying to get beyond the whole thing of my personal desire. I'm looking at it from just, let's say if I was just like an alien observer. What I'm saying is I would be looking in and saying, why are these people getting mad at this serial killer? He's just following what nature allows him to do and what he sees in nature.
Humans are not creatures of logic. They are creatures of emotion. So I'm speaking from a logical perspective on how humans operate and the concepts that humans create. You want to stay on the human feeling. I'm explaining to you the concepts that are motivated by the human feeling. So because humans are not logical creatures, because again, metacognition is only a small part of that. I told you in Maslow's hierarchy of human needs that the base needs of humans are psychological. So it's all going to be rooted in feelings.
So you're working against nature right now because you're trying to deal and explain things logically. You should be just dealing only in feeling.
No. Very few people make it to this level of thought.
Right, you're the outlier.
Of course, I'm an outlier. I've already stated that I'm an outlier.
And the other base should be trying to do everything they can.
What classify the outlier?
The other base animal men should be trying to do everything possible to get rid of you because you're an outlier.
Hold on. Wait. Pause. Let me get out.
I don't even know where he's going with that.
Go ahead, BMT. Go ahead.
So, because of what she's saying, is that why she's saying that black people are looked at as stupid? Because if this is the logic that black people are based off of emotion, then this is why they judge the black community off of effeminate, illogical behavior. I'm understanding that at this cognition that what she's saying is that because men go on logic, women go off of emotion. See, y'all, now hold on now, because you're saying emotion. Now, women are naturally prone to emotion. But see, when a man identifies with his mama, or you get what I'm going with, this prophet, and they start going with those type of mindset of I need to get up, get a job, I need to do that. See, they're going to their animalistic behavior of the Ray and the Pookie shit.
No.
And see, and then that's why when they compare a lot of the black men that are out there ain't doing shit to the animalistic behavior of monkeys and shit. That's why, because now what we're getting is why the black man who wants reparations and 40 acres and a PlayStation is failing, because this nigga is thinking like a monkey. He think that if he eats shit and do stupid stuff and be effeminate and breed however he desires, not choose correctly on the mate he needs, and not actually work and do the things he's supposed to be doing as a productive man in society, then guess what? You know, it's okay to go have sex with minors. It's okay to go put your penis in any kind of woman without no repercussion and catch STDs and stuff. It's okay to go live in mama's house and sleep on the couch and say I'm winning in the trap house because the white man keep me back. You know, that imaginary man that gets him at night when he goes outside when he's on that is the logic of what we're hearing right now. So I get it. I'm not mad at it because I understand now. So I can play the same video to all my bum ass cousins and say, I know why y'all are stupid, because y'all are on emotion. I'm a man of logic. And so long as y'all are thinking on that frequency of drink y'all urine and live off y'all baby mamas, I accept y'all now. This is why the frequency of men and women is like so far gone now. Like, think about this. That's why we're seeing these pedophiles and these pedos starting to come out now. They are now no longer on the logic of you know, everyday the norm. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, because this is why the conversations come up. Not that I don't even like, honestly, when I think of it now, black people, this is why I tell y'all we need to go back to logic than emotion. Because when you are on the emotional path, you don't know how to discern yourself from a situation and calm down and actually think like, hey, what I've been doing for 20 years hasn't been working. That is crazy. I've been loving up on a woman that sent me to jail 2 times. That is crazy. I'm hanging around the same homeboys that is getting shot in the street. That is crazy. But see, even at some point, a dog realizes that this is a bad master. And the thing about it is, if black people are thinking on that type of frequency, then goddamn it, dog, ain't no way we getting goddamn reparation. Like, shit, we screwed. Like, we at this point, I was like, yo, man, no wonder why that black preacher got us so many goddamn years. Like, damn, we go off of too much emotion. We just need the logic now. But the thing about it is, black people, because when we're saying this, then that means we should have no problem taking an R. Kelly or taking R. Kelly and putting them around little girls. Then that means black men, then that means that we should have no problem. No. At that logic frequency, then I've never seen a dog try to have sex with a puppy. Have any of y'all ever seen that? I've never seen.
I can tell you what does exist. I can tell you what does exist.
Well, hold on. Have you ever seen any animal try to have sex or a mature relationship with an animal who's an infant of their species?
Now let me ask you this question. Are you asking?
No, answer that question first. Answer that question.
Hold on. I'm trying to clarify, please. Can we have a conversation? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lady Princella.
Are you asking me, have I ever seen, or are you asking me, does it exist?
Asking you, have you ever seen?
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna answer your question. If a tree falls in a forest and you nowhere around to hear it, doesn't make a sound.
Actually, yes, off of the sound, off of the sound and the gravitational physics, trees do make sound because the air getting pushed from under the tree trunk and actually pushes it under and it makes a. So yes, a tree does make a sound.
Even if you there, not there to hear it. Okay. So
I don't have to be there. I can leave a recorder.
So you don't have to be there to hear it. So you
I can set up. It's called technology. We set it up every day.
Hey, the point of the matter is just because you don't see something don't mean that it doesn't exist. And so what I'm about to tell you is, no, I haven't seen every animal, but I can tell you that bonobo monkeys, based on my research, bonobo monkeys absolutely do exactly what you just said. And humans are closer to monkeys than they are dogs. So bonobo monkeys wait to the mother of the children leave the nest, and that bonobo monkey goes and impregnates all of the newborn infants in that tribe. Not only do they do that, not only do bonobo monkeys do that, they also are known as the sex culture of monkeys, where All of them masturbate. Homosexuality, they do that. They all play with the kids sexually. So what I'm saying is everything that you despise in humans exists in nature, everywhere.
So I'm glad you said that. So what animals do you know that have started their own economic system?
Lord have
What?
mercy.
What?
What animals
What
do
did you
you
just say?
what animals do you know? What no. I ask you, what animals or creatures outside of humans have started their own economic system?
Listen, all animals have their own social forms that they create. As a matter of fact, chimpanzees, okay? Because see, what you want to hear is name a monkey that went and created a computer, Princella.
You didn't answer my question.
Name a monkey that created a computer, Princella. What does that have to do with the fact of the matter that the biological nature of every creature is the same? The biological nature. And before you get, let me explain something. It ain't that many people in the world that run companies.
Right,
the majority of people are employees of those companies. Okay, so that means you're dealing with a pyramid, you're dealing with a hierarchy, which goes back to 1, Maslow's hierarchy, and then 2, now we got the Illuminati sign. And at the top of every single pyramid will be the fewest people. There ain't that many people that make it to the top of Mount Everest. It ain't that many people who make it to billion-dollar companies. The majority of people are workers, slaves, and they are always going to be in that mentality, and they will never rise up to be the best version of themselves for numerous reasons. So I don't know what an economic monetary system has to do with that reality.
So, well, let me ask you this, Lady Princella. What good is it? Well, let me rephrase that. What's the sense of personal development if you can constantly change the goalpost, right? Because we say, you know, good and bad and right and wrong is subjective and it's relative to how we feel, right?
The goalpost ain't for everybody. Everybody ain't got the same goalpost. That's the part you're not getting. Your goalpost ain't my goalpost.
That's all like unaccountability.
Unless you change it.
But that's all like unaccountability to me.
But how good is, what good is does personal development actually have a meaning if everybody can say, well, this is good for me, even though it may be bad for you?
Personal. Guess what? Interest rates are good for investors and bad for you. Mm-hmm. Guess what? It ain't never gonna be a good for everybody. I don't know where y'all get that mentality. It's always gonna be somebody that's gonna get the short end of the stick. Every time. So I guess I'm not supposed to do real estate and charge interest rates and charge if you on Section 8 or you got bad credit. I guess I'm not supposed to charge you a higher interest rate because it screws you in the end, especially if you don't handle your business right. What that got to do with me?
Wait, do you do that? Do you do that?
Huh?
Do you work?
What you mean, do I work? I got my own stuff going on over here.
Okay, so why do you work?
Because that's what I want to do.
But why? You're falling under another man's structure.
No, I work for myself. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but you're falling, don't you have lights and power and all that stuff?
Yeah, because that's what I need.
Okay, but hold on. Wait.
Pause. I'm trying to figure out what you're asking. I'm trying to figure out.
I'm trying to show you something. You said that majority of people work and they're slaves. Yet you work and you slave all day just to survive.
No, I don't. Actually, no. I have plenty. I have plenty of money in the bank. I'm not struggling to pay no.
Wait.
No.
Why would you be putting your money in an infrastructure that has been known to harm other structures?
Stop. Because you are getting. I don't understand where this argument is going or what is. First of all, we need lights. I'm not getting into no.
Why do wait? Why do you need light? You say animals don't need no damn light.
No. Stop. I'm not gonna play this. Let's be in nature and let's hide and let's live nomadically so we can. I don't care about all of that. At the end of the day, my objective is to develop myself. I can't worry about what's going on in China. I'm not gonna worry about what's going on in China. I'm not gonna worry about what's going on at your house. My objective is to develop myself. And guess what? I'm paying for lights because that's what I need. I'm not using candles. I don't care what you think about it, is what I'm telling you. I'm using lights. I'm gonna stay in an apartment.
Don't be shitting on candles, god damn it.
I'm about to say candles. She's sitting on candles like some people, that's all they can afford. So I mean, she's talking down on somebody.
What does that got to do with me? What does that have to do with me? That ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm not worried about what's going on in 16 houses down the street from mine. I'm not worried about what's going on in Chicago because I live in Texas. So I don't understand what any of this got to do with personal development. Personal. Okay, do we even know the definition of personal? Personal.
Let me ask you about personal. Let's talk about personal development again. When
look,
okay.
Well, let's get ready to wind this down. I'm gonna give you about 15 more minutes because I really got other stuff that I got to be doing.
I know, Princella. I try not to keep you more than 2 hours, lady.
Okay. Look, I'm trying to keep this positive because what I really wanted to talk about was really self-development. I wanted to talk about the 5 components of love. I'm sitting.
Well, talk about it. Talk about it. God damn it, you here. Do it. Pull the trigger.
I'm editing a short film that I'm putting. So I'm doing that. I just shot. I got 8 hours worth of shooting to do next week because I'm promoting my book, 5 Components of Love. It is a logical assessment of what love is as opposed to the emotion that people believe it is. And it's not just 1 or 2 things. It's 5 different things that make up the total concept of love. And so when it talks about personal development, I'm talking about people who want to better their relationships, who want to better their financial status. I'm out of that pro-black. I'm out of the pro-black thing. I'm done with that. It's too much confusion. I'm out of that. I just want to help people become the best versions of themselves. So if you want to get your relationships better, if you want better relationships with your children, if you want progress in the financial sector, if you want to know how to have willpower, if you want to know how to overcome emotional trauma, that's what I'm here for. I've done it in my own life. I've helped other people do it. And that's the road that I'm on. I'm no longer bickering and arguing with people about esoteric stuff. I did that for 4 years. I'm done with that. I don't even want to talk about that no more. So personal development is about what is most desirable for the individual. And when it comes to most desirable, most people feel bad about certain things. They don't feel good on the inside. Maybe they in a relationship with a narcissist that belittles them every day. Maybe they don't have good relationships with their parents because maybe their parents abandoned them, or maybe there was favoritism, and they want to know how to overcome these things so that they can have better production in their life.
Where do you pull your research from?
What do you mean where I pull my research from? I pull my research from behavioral psychology. I pull it from science because I graduated from LSUS in cell and molecular biology, but I also was a lieutenant in the Army after 8 years. So, and I lived on the streets. I've overcome my own battles, so I have a lot of life experiences in this area. So, and I've helped several people. So this is something that I'm very familiar with. This is what I do. So
we're going off your personal information that you collected.
What do you mean?
So pretty much like you was telling us, you're going off of your personal experiences and you're gonna do it like sort of like a dating coach and tell people how they can, identify with themselves and stuff like that, like a motivational speaker, pretty much.
I mean, I guess you can call it motivational speaking. I mean, if you
that's what it is.
Well, I guess if you want to call it that, I really don't have a name for it. I'm just more of a life coach. if you say.
Oh, you're a life coach.
Yes, a life coach, because I can help people. I have. It's not that I can and I think I can. No, this is what I've done over the last 10 years. I have a track record of actually doing this. So instead of just doing it on the whims here and there for people who come to me for help, I'm actually just trying to turn it into a more structuralized thing that I'm doing. So I have my website, I have my YouTube, I do my videos, I write my blogs, and I just do that, and I coach people whenever they come to me.
Now, now I got a question. Does it matter what their moral code is? You still help them?
It doesn't matter what their moral code is, no, because a lot of the times what these people are coming to me for, they're coming to me for something that is causing them pain in their relationships. Example. Oh, my husband.
All right. Oh, okay. You want an example? Okay. Hi, I am 40 years old and I am dating a 12-year-old. Can you help me out?
No, I'm
What?
Listen,
What the hell did you
here's
just
the thing.
say,
Here's the
man?
thing. Because,
She's a life coach. Why didn't you help me with that?
See, this is why I'm about to end this conversation, because he's purposely intending to misunderstand what I'm saying.
No. I'm going off of what you said. Said it depends on the individual.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, Lady Princella.
I will stop the thing, Prophet.
Let me hold on. Let me ask you this, Lady Princella.
Listen, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna say this one more time. Because see, what I'm not gonna do is get into a situation where we got in with Valdez that year. I'm not doing that.
No. We don't do that shit up. We don't do that shit up here. We don't do that shit up here.
Before he keeps asking me questions, he could ask me, Princella, what is it that you desire? Okay, because at the end of the day, again, I understand that dudes are gonna be dudes. I understand that because I know that. Okay, I know that. I'm not gonna have my child around certain dudes, because the desirable outcome for me and my child is to make sure that my child ain't never touched inappropriately. But just because I desire that not to happen don't mean that I know it don't happen. Yes, it happens. But I'm not saying, oh, you know what? Everything is bad. It is what it is. So now I have to work around it, because it ain't never going to change. So I don't understand why there's a intention of trying to misunderstand what I'm saying, when he could have just simply asked me the question, Princella, what is it that you desire? What is it that you feel is the most desirable way that the world should operate? Here's the thing. I know that this world is what it is. It is what it is. It will be the way it is, and always will be this way. So I'm not about to get myself wrapped up into something that I know I can't change. The only thing that I can do is make precautions and take notes and understand what I need to do to prevent undesirable outcomes from happening. That's it. That's it. We sitting up here, well, how can you not do something if you don't know good and bad? It's about desirable and undesirable outcomes. Mm-hmm. You can make a life based on what you desire, and what I desire for my life is to make sure that my child is safe.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this. Personal development, right, is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about this. Personal development is, I guess, recalibrating what your perception of right and wrong, good and bad, based on whatever moral code you have. That would be, well, I'll speak for myself. That would be my personal development. If I kind of rearrange what I think right and wrong is, rearrange what I think good and bad is, based on my own moral code, right?
It doesn't matter what anybody's moral code is. Personal development is creating yourself so that you can get the desirable outcome that you want in your life. I don't understand why that's so hard to understand.
That's what I just said, Lady
I know,
Princella.
but y'all adding all this stuff. It don't matter what people's moral code is. The question is do you like where you at, or do you want to be somewhere else? If you want to be somewhere else, okay, and you don't like where you are, then you're gonna have to do these things to improve your character so that you can get what it is that you want in life. That's all it is. That's it. And so I don't understand why we got to make this more difficult, because the reality is there ain't no such thing as good and bad, because here it is. Let's say you get a let's say you get a flat tire. You late for work. You late for work, but you got a flat tire. Right then, you might think that's bad because you feel bad. Oh man, if I'm late one more time, I might get fired. I might get written up. You're labeling that as bad until you hear on the news that your job just blew up.
Wait.
Somebody planted a bomb.
That makes no sense.
It does make sense because it happened with 9/11. People who were late to work on 9/11, they were nervous and they were bad. They felt like, oh, I'm about to miss work. I'm going to get written up. I can't be late, until they turned on the news and realized the Trade Center had been hit. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it instantly, what they felt was bad turned into relief. So how could that situation that was once perceived as bad be immediately turned into a good thing? Because it's all about how people feel. Period.
Wait.
And it's based on the circumstances
That's
too, right? The circumstances have something to do with it as well.
That's the point. It's a feeling. The circumstances create feelings. You're judging the situation based on how it makes you feel. Why is it that y'all are excluding that? Why don't you want to acknowledge that the reason that you're labeling something good or bad is how it makes you feel? I don't get that.
Wait. Okay, so let's say I get a job after 9/11 and I go to working at Walmart. Oh, wait, I came late again. Do I say that's not bad? It's just feelings.
I tell you what. I'm
He
gonna end this conversation because I see that there is no understanding. Zero. And I am not about to waste no more energy trying to get somebody to understand something. They are
it's okay. You can say this is profiting yours time. Okay. So I'm going to go and excuse myself. Okay.
Listen. Hey.
Well, Princella, I always enjoy when you come here. And of course, sometimes I agree with some of the shit you say. But it doesn't make me think any lesser of you because I disagree. Okay. I just
I get it.
the whole feeling thing is that's what got the brothers kind of crossed up, because you're like, it's based on a feeling.
Because they feel that's another programming. At the end of the day, dudes, y'all so doggone fragile that y'all want to feel so doggone macho that you don't even want to admit that you have a feeling. All humans have feelings. So this is the type of conversation I don't want to have. I don't want to even have these types of conversations. I want to have more positive, more productive conversations. I'm not trying to argue with nobody. And if people don't understand the message that I'm trying to put out, if they hear, I just don't want to be in that. I really don't.
Yeah, well, I don't argue with you. I ask you questions. I'm not going to argue with you. You have your points. I mean, some I agree with, some I disagree with. I mean, it is what it is.
The fact of the matter is we all are human and we all have feelings. So dudes are sitting up here saying that they don't get mad, they don't get upset. Those are emotions. Those are feelings. It doesn't make you cringe when you hear about certain things. If you don't have no feelings about your cousin being murdered, that don't make you feel no kind of way. You're not labeling that as bad because it makes you feel bad or feel a feeling. So we just gonna sit up here and pretend that, oh, I'm not making no judgments off of no feelings. It ain't got nothing to do with feelings. That's bullshit. And so we're gonna sit up here and try to deny reality, all for the sake of an argument. See, that is what I can't do. For the sake of an argument, we're going to try to deny reality. Okay, if that's the game we want to play, I can't play that game. We got to be honest with ourselves. We all get pissed off. We all get sad. We all get happy. When you win the lottery, you feel good. You say, hey, a good thing happened to me. You're not saying, oh yeah, I won the lottery, I don't feel no kind of way. That's bullshit.
But isn't reality also subjective though? I mean, everybody's reality is different, right? Everybody has a different perception of reality. Um, some people think that, you know, living, you know, in a cardboard box is reality. Some people think living in a mansion is reality. So reality itself is subjective,
We've
right?
been talking about subjectivity the whole time, because our perception is built off of the foundation of everything I just said.
I agree.
Feelings, emotions create perception. But before the emotion creates the perception, the experience that created the emotion creates the perception. So again, if you have a child who was raped or molested, that's an experience. That's an experience. There's a feeling attached to that experience. And now when you bring up what nature facilitates, because of these feelings, that person is going to label the what? Nature bad. That is how it happens. So what we're talking about is perception all the way around. Good and bad is a perception. Positive and negative is a perception. All of these things are based in perceptions, which is promoted by a feeling. Because when you're born, you don't have no feelings about nothing until you've been programmed with experiences or information to create a prejudice that creates your description of said situation or said event. So the fact of the matter that we want to sit up here and deny that that's how things are, that's how the human brain creates things. The human brain has to label stuff. So people don't even understand the feelings that they have on the inside. So they label different things. That's how you label stuff. You're labeling it based on a feeling. It ain't based on nothing more than that.
So is personal development based on feelings too? Is that
Yes, it is.
That's all feelings?
Yes, because here's
no
the thing.
thought goes into that?
Listen.
Feelings first?
I don't understand why y'all don't comprehend that thoughts and feelings go hand in hand. They are not two separate things. They go hand in hand. Okay? All right? They go hand in hand. Because guess what? Does anybody know where the emotional center is stored in the brain? It's in the brain. It's not anywhere else. It's in your brain. So first and foremost, you don't like your job because it make you feel bad. I'm tired. The boss pissing me off. I'm exhausted. Those are all feelings. Those are all feelings. People, humans, male and female, are creatures of habit and emotion. Logic is a very small part of the human brain. What males think is logical on their behalf, they don't even understand. I don't even know why I'm even arguing or talking about this for people who probably don't even study science. When they say emotional and quote unquote logic, you have two hemispheres of the brain. You got the left brain and the right brain. The right brain is the creative side. The left brain is the analytical side, the computation side that deals with numbers, that deals with straight line mechanisms. That's what the left brain does. Males operate more from the straight line. So if you give them spatial objects, They use the left brain to be able to comprehend the spatial object. They are better at doing directions with north, west, east, south versus land spots or whatever. So it's just the way you see the world. It ain't got nothing to do with whether you can process information from an analytical standpoint or not. When they say emotional from women, what they're saying is that the woman uses more of her intuition, okay, more of her, okay, well, if you go past the store, take a right, that type of thing versus a map. So that is what the difference in how you process information. She uses more of the right brain, he uses more of the left brain, but they both work together. You don't just use your left brain and that's it. So I don't understand why guys are so hell bent on trying to pretend that they ain't got no emotion when they are some of the people who have the most emotional breakdowns because they're trying to pretend to be so damn macho. You're not macho. You have feelings. Stop pretending that you don't. And every human makes decisions based on their feelings. Every human is labeling things based on how they feel about it. Ain't nobody labeling nothing based on no logic. When was the last time I mentioned Maslow's hierarchy 3 times? When was the last time somebody went and looked up Maslow's hierarchy? I'm sure they ain't go and look it up.
I'm looking that shit up tonight.
Yeah, they instead of trying to talk to me against, and they ain't even looked up the doggone pyramid. But we using logic. We talking, but we ain't even willing to research this. You know what I'm saying? So, I ain't even really want to get into this energy because I was really excited about the personal development thing that we're doing. I was really excited about sharing the short film that I was shooting. And I actually stopped doing that to come talk and just chill with you. But now I'm all
why the hell I ain't in the movie? Forget all that.
I don't even know where you
Why
at.
ain't I in the goddamn movie?
I don't even know where you at. Yeah, I'm
Get all that other shit.
I'm a little flustered.
Why ain't X in the goddamn movie?
I'm a little rattled, yo. I'm a little rattled because I was like, man, because I forgot it was I forgot it was Wednesday because I've been up since 1:00 this morning trying to work on editing this thing, and I'm studying a new endeavor. So I've been up all day because I got to get this thing done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, well, I just figured out, we had talked. I figured you'd come up here, I mean, you're going to get some resistance when you come up here. I mean, resistance is coming.
Yeah.
Resistance is coming on T.P.O.T.
I look to have conversations so we can come to, I'm out of that. I'm out of that fighting and arguing. I'm out of that. All I want to do is have productive conversations. That's where I'm at now. Just productive. When we get into this, that really wasn't the type of conversation I was looking for. I really wasn't, because all I wanted to do was share the personal development and understanding how you can flip things in your mind to better serve you. Everything that happened to you ain't bad unless you label it that way. And based on how you create that in your mind is how you're going to live your life. This is how people either become victims or they become winners. If you want to become a victim, then yes, label everything as bad. Label it woe is me. Label it the world is against me. Label all this stuff. But if you want to overcome challenges, you got to stop telling yourself that everything that happened to you is bad, 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 bad. No, some things that happen to you are necessary for your growth, for you to be the person that you want to be. It has to happen. Everything in your life everything that happened to you can't be desirable. Everything can't be peaches and cream. That ain't life.
Well, I'm glad you came on, Lady Princella. Like I said, it's always good to have you on here, even though, some of the shit I disagree with, it's always good to have you on here, because you are a friend of the show. I consider you a friend of mine, You know, I've been dealing with you a long time, lady. I ain't
Hey,
just meet you today. All
right,
right.
right.
I've been dealing with you a long time. So I mean, some of the shit you say I agree with. Some of the shit you say I totally disagree with. So I mean, this shit happens. But you know, as far as I know you're big into, you know, personal development and all that kind of stuff. I know you're big into that. Um, I'm glad you did come on. No, I was supposed to have Dr. Yaya on tonight as well. But she couldn't make it. But you know, it's always good to have you on here, Princella. And like I said, you know, I'm gonna try to have you on here at least once a month or so. You know, that's if you want to come back.
Well, make sure, make sure that the conversation is a little bit more palatable, because I ain't up for debating or arguing with nobody. I'm trying
No,
to
no, no,
get,
no, no, no.
yeah,
You know it don't happen like that up here
yeah,
no more. I mean, we don't be doing no throwdowns like that up,
yeah.
you know, like that up here. You know, it ain't even that kind of party. But what I will say, okay, what I will say about tonight, I mean, maybe the conversation went left, you know, under your, you know, according to your perception, but I am thankful for the fact that, because brothers know on here, a lot of us, we kind of get mired down in the same old kind of topics. You know,
Mhm.
it's usually, you know, it's usually relationships, women, men, you know, it's usually the same old bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's actually good to have had a conversation and none of that shit entered it tonight. I mean, none of it entered it. So it was actually refreshing to me to have a conversation that didn't include, you know, all that other shit, you know, because we were just basically talking about the mind and feelings and
Mhm.
personal development and perception and moral code and all that kind of shit, you know. So it was actually pretty refreshing to me. So I thank you for coming on and, you know, bringing up, you know, a topic that doesn't often get spoken about on these old YouTube streets. So, you know, I'm thankful for that, because see, my perception of this conversation was that it was actually pretty goddamn good, and I'm not changing it.
Oh yeah, no, that's your, but see, that's your style. That's your style. That's what you desire. That just ain't what I desire. I desire
Yeah,
something a little bit
yeah.
more
The conversation
mellow.
was very desirable to me. You know what I'm
Yeah, it was.
saying? It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
desirable.
That's what I say. I'm not, can't say the conversation was good or bad. It was just less desirable on my end, because now I kind of, my blood pressure then kind of went up, and
No,
yeah.
Lord.
No, because
Yeah, but nobody really was. It was really coming at you like that. Come
no,
on now.
it's like this. It's like this for me. When I feel that when I feel that I'm purposely being misunderstood, it's irritating, because now I'm feeling like I'm just talking to brick walls, and I don't like
Mhm.
that, because it's like, if you just think about what's being said instead of responding, if you just think about what's being said, I'm not saying anything that don't make sense. I'm not saying anything that's not true. Just think about it. But a lot of times, I kind of felt insulted when he was asking me certain questions that was kind of like downplaying what I was saying. It was like, I don't even understand why that's so necessary, because all I'm presenting to you is people operate based on desire, feelings, desire. That's what it talks about in Napoleon Hill's book. It's what it talks about in the 48 Laws of Power. This is what it talks about in human psychology. This is just really reality that we're speaking of. So I just, it just flustered me when I feel like I'm being attacked, and I'm not actually having a conversation.
No
I
one's
don't like that with
attacking
brick walls.
you. No
I don't know.
one's
No,
attacking you.
no. Not like, oh, B, you this. No, no, no. Attacking what I'm saying. Like, it's like going, like, it's not even going in the ear. It's just like hitting and bouncing and ricocheting. It's like, are we having a conversation? Are you listening to what I'm saying? Are you thinking about what I'm saying? Or are we just trying to debate, which is not what I came here for, because personal development, that wasn't even the crux of what I was going to say. That was just a piece that was going to catapult you into how to reframe a story. That was what the whole purpose of the good and bad thing was. It went completely left from there, which is what I wasn't looking for. I wasn't.
Well, next time, God damn it, when you come back, God damn it, if you come back, you know you coming back, because I'll call your ass. I'll keep calling your ass. God damn it, pick up this damn phone.
I don't know, because I'm not the same Princella you knew. I ain't the same person.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. But I'll still call your ass till your damn phone died. God damn it, if you don't pick up that goddamn phone, I be calling that shit with both of my phones. Like, what the hell?
Well, I know. Let me ask you this question. I know how me coming on your show benefits you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it benefits me. I don't know, because I'm never able to see anybody on your side, so I don't even know who your followers are. I don't really know what I get out of this, to be honest.
I bring you on, number one, because you and I are cool. All right. Right. You've been dealing with me for a long time, for a few years. Yeah. Okay. Not a few months, a few years. All right. Yeah. So I think you're very cool. Okay. I also think you're very bright. Now, mind you, I disagree with some of the shit you say now. Don't get it twisted. Some of the shit you say, I totally disagree with the shit. I do. But you and I have been cool. Like I said, I've been fucking with you ever since I worked in the booth. You fuck with me longer than a lot of these people who I fuck with now. Okay. I bring you on because I know you're gonna come on and say some shit that's gonna kind of, get my audience riled up, make them ask a bunch of fucking questions and shit in the chat. I know you're going to do that. See, I'm familiar with you. I'm familiar with your talking points, but many of my people that follow me are not. Okay. They're not. So when they see this woman up here and you're saying the things that you're saying, they're like, damn, who the hell is? What's she talking about? And that's good. You know why? Because it's not the same old shit that they're used to. I bring you up here to break the fucking monotony. Okay? Because normally when we on these YouTube things, we're either talking about women, we're talking about relationships, we're talking about baby mamas, we're talking about baby daddies. That's the shit we talk about on YouTube. Okay? That's the shit we talk about. And I know when you come up here, we ain't gonna be talking about that shit. We're gonna be talking about something totally different. That is why I bring you up here. Has nothing to do with the views or the likes or the audience or none of that shit. I bring you up here simply to break the fucking monotony of this YouTube shit. Well, that's why I do it.
Well, can I ask, what does the audience get out of it? Is it entertainment for them? I just kind of want to know how they perceive it, because here's the thing. I want to put out information that helps people, right? I want to put out something of value. If the audience don't find it valuable, or I'm just a person that's talking that they can, hey, well, let me debate, if they don't find no value in it, I don't know if it's really doing anything other than breaking up the monotony.
Well, my audience is they are very intelligent people. They are very diverse people, because see, T.P.O.T is an acquired taste. I mean, you look down through the files of T.P.O.T. I mean, there's 9 or 10 different series, and each one of those series talks about different things. Okay, I got a series where I teach you how to grow your own food, fix your damn sink, and fix your lawnmower. Then I got another series that talks about, straight man shit. Then I got another series that talks about baby mamas. Then I got another series that talks about developing yourself as a man. So, I mean, this is a diverse platform. We talk about a lot of different shit on here. So when someone like yourself comes on, it is a breath of fresh air, not just for me, but probably for my audience, because they're not familiar with you. They're not familiar with you. So it is a breath of fresh air for them, because they know exactly what I'm talking about. Because a lot of the people who follow me, they're content creators themselves. They make videos and shit like that, and they know how this shit go. And see me, I have people on my show that other people don't have on their shit. That's another thing. I have people on here that you'll only see here. Okay.
Mhm.
And you happen to be one of those people. Okay. You're
Mhm.
not just a guest, you are quote unquote special guest of mine. You understand?
Oh
That's
yeah, I
how I
appreciate that.
that's how I bill you. I bill
Yeah.
you as that. I don't just bill you as another YouTuber, because a lot of these guys that come through, they on my shit all the time when I do hangouts. I don't talk to you that much. Okay, I don't talk to you
Right.
that much, maybe once every few months. I mean, we linked up a while back. That's the first time you and I had linked up for like almost 2 years.
Right.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
So I bring you on for that, because we are right. And I know you're gonna get up here and say some shit that I disagree with, but I don't care about that shit. I still want to have you here and I still want to listen to the shit.
Yeah. Well,
Basically, that's where I'm at. You know how we do.
well, you
That's where
know
I'm
what?
at.
I tell you what. It's been several times in the past where I may have initially disagreed with somebody. And that was always based on, I don't even want to hear it right now. This is not what I believe right now. But as I listen or I turn it over in my mind and I think about it, I always listen to people and I always think about what people say. If it makes sense, I accept it. If it don't make sense, I discard it. So I don't disagree with people because I don't like what they're saying. I don't disagree with people because it goes against my beliefs. Because my beliefs change frequently based on new information, based on new perspectives that I might not have considered. So that's how I operate because I totally believe in mental uh, expanding the mind. The mind can't expand if we always hold on to something because we feel it's a part of us. I'm always open to new information because I got my hand in a lot of stuff and I think about a lot of things. I incorporate myself into a lot of different social groups. I listen to people. And once I learn something new and it trumps or overrides what I've known before, I accept it, you know. But yeah, before I disagree with people, I think about what is being said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've never had a problem with your commentary or your talking points or any of that. I mean, it is what it is. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
your outlook on shit. Everybody else does too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I actually like when you come on here because you actually you get down and you explain the shit and you stand your ground on your shit. So that's something you've always done. That's something I've always respected.
Oh,
You
yeah.
stand your ground on your shit. All right.
Oh,
You ain't gonna let nobody take that shit away from you. So I mean, it's all good. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. So you got to bring your behind back up here next month.
yeah. Next month.
Next month it just be me and you. Just be me and you. I'll let you say a bunch of old shit that I disagree with, and that'll be that. All
I
right.
don't, I don't know what we're gonna talk about. I don't know what we're gonna talk about. I have no idea what we're gonna talk about.
Well, something to come up. Something to come up.
Like it
But
always
like,
does.
yeah, like it always do. Like it
Mhm.
always
Yeah.
does. But
Yep.
I'm glad you came on, Lady Princella.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, man, it breaks up the monotony and it's good to talk about some other shit. And I know when you come on, some other shit gonna be talked about. I mean, maybe maybe that's messed up for me to think that way, but that's
What?
I know once when you on here, we're gonna talk about some other shit. So it's all good. I know you good for the other shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
But
Always.
I appreciate you though. I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I'll be hitting you up next month, trying to beg you to come back on here. You know.
Oh, that's if I'm not tied up next month. I might be tied
Yeah,
up.
well, I kind of hit you out of the blue anyway.
You
So,
did
I just
because I
I
almost
just
forgot
be
about it. My
yeah.
day. I don't know why I thought today. I don't know what day I thought it was, but honestly, I totally forgot because I was so busy doing this. And then when I saw the message come through, I was like, oh, let me go hurry up and clear
Let me
my
go
space.
deal. Let me go deal with him. I know I'm gonna go up on here and somebody gonna get my blood pressure up.
Man, let me tell you, I haven't look, when I say I left them conversations alone, I ain't been on Facebook. You know, I used to go live on Facebook a lot. I have not gone live on Facebook in shoot 2 months.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, when I say I'm completely going, like honestly, I've had these types of conversations for 4 years straight. I'm burnt out. I'm done. I'm completely drained. I don't have nothing. I ain't got nothing else in me. So I'm like, hey, I'm going in a whole different direction. Mhm.
Okay.
I ain't got nothing left.
All right. Well, like I said, I'll say again, it was good to have you on, Lady Princella. I'll be hitting your ass up next month. God damn it.
All right.
But thanks for coming through, though. I
All right.
appreciate it. All right.
All right.
All
Peace.
right. Peace. Yeah.
I don't know
Just got
how.
off the line with, Lady Princella. And we're supposed to be talking some personal development up here tonight. And, according to her, the conversation went left. I don't believe it did. I think it went pretty well. Like I told her, you come up here and say something, you're going to get some type of resistance. You ain't just going to have, like a captive audience. You say some shit, brother's going to give you some resistance. That's just the way that is. But it's always good to have Princella on. She brings, like I said, like I was telling her, she brings some different shit to talk about, because y'all know we kind of be, we have all of our streams are starting to look and sound alike now. So, it's always good to kind of break it up and talk about some different shit, be in a different mood, a different subject, a different topic, a different point of view. That shit is always good, man. Instead of doing the same old shit and talking about the same old people and the same old nonsense. That kind of stuff, man, is like, I mean, I'm trying I'm trying to kind of get away from the shit that everybody else is talking about. I'm really trying to get away from it as much as possible. Um, when I'm on other people's platforms, the topic is a topic, but here I make the goddamn topics. So the topics are going to be, they're going to be somewhat different. Now, of course, I go in on these old mamas, I go in on them, but, for the most part, I try to stay away from, the talking points of other channels. I try not to, I try not to harp on the shit that everybody else is harping on. Because I just want to do different shit, man. I want to talk about different shit. I want to bring my audience different stuff to think about and different stuff to talk about. So, that's why I always have people like Princella come on, because I know they're going to shake it up a little bit. They're going to shake it up a little bit. They're going to make it a little different, and they're going to, they're going to bring some, they're going to bring some talking points that, are kind of, off the beaten path, if you will. But I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I definitely appreciate the people in the chat and my moderators for coming through. And most importantly, I want to thank you for showing up tonight, spending some time with us, watching us. Some program notes tomorrow. Another person who comes up here and kind of shakes it up a little bit. My man Corey Hayward gonna be in the house tomorrow. So that's gonna be wicked, because I ain't had Corey on in a while. And he's coming through, he gonna be talking shit too. Because I spoke to him the other day, because I ain't spoke to Corey in a minute. So he gonna come through tomorrow. So you're gonna have somebody else up here who's kind of off the beaten path. He's not he's not much of a YouTuber, but he is in media, and he has some strong points. He'll probably make all y'all mad out there for the most part, because the shit he be saying. But Corey's my man. He's another person I don't always disagree with the shit he say either. But he is my man. I don't think no lesser of him for it. So make sure you have your black behinds here tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. You know what I'm saying? Right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. My man Corey Haywood gonna be in the house. So I know people gonna be lining up to take a crack at him. And he's all for that shit. See, Princella's different. She don't want to really, get into it with people. Corey don't give a damn. He'll get into it with everybody on the goddamn panel if they say something to him that he don't like. So make sure you have your black behinds here tomorrow, like I said, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. Dark X Live with my man Corey Haywood tomorrow. But anyway, what I need y'all to do now, get on down there to Proper the Thought series on Facebook. That's Proper the Thought, one word series, the next word on Facebook. Go ahead, like the page, share the page, follow the page. You can even drop old X a line while you're there, and I'm guaranteed to get back to you within 24 and 168 hours. Yeah, that's our community page. That's our main page. Go ahead and like the page. And while you're down there, go on down to the Proper Thought Series fan group page. That's the Proper Thought Series fan group page on Facebook. Go ahead, sign up to be a member. You're guaranteed to get in there. If you have any problems, just drop me a line. I'll talk to my admins. I'll have them get you up in there. There's always a bunch of good shit going on down there. It's a fan group page, so you ain't just got to listen to X run his mouth. There's other people down there posting shit and running their mouths too. Also, check us out on WhatsApp and Instagram. That's Proper the Thought. Leave out the series on Instagram. Go ahead, follow us on Instagram. You guaranteed to get a follow back. But here we go again. I'm not going to stop talking shit to y'all about this Twitter shit because I got so many followers on the Facebook group. I got like 1,000 on the main Facebook page. I got I don't know how many in the group. I don't know how many I got on Instagram. But for some reason, y'all scared to go to Twitter. How the hell I got all these people who follow me on all this shit, but I only got 70 Twitter followers? That doesn't even make any sense, y'all. Doesn't even make any sense. So what I want y'all to do is get your black behind down to Twitter. The Twitter handle is at T.P.O.T Media on Twitter. That's at T.P.O.T Media on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter, because if you don't, I will haunt you in your dreams tomorrow. And I will haunt your old mama in her dreams for the rest of her miserable life. So once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Also, I want to thank my man Supreme King Coon for coming on tonight, and my man BMT, and the guest of honor, Lady Princella, coming up on here tonight. Even though she got a little flustered, don't worry, she'll have her ass back up here next month, because I'll be bugging the shit out of her, make her come back on here. But I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. So with that, I will leave you with 3 words, like I always do.
Open your mind. Open your mind.
Peace, folks.
The prophet of thought. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. The prophet of thought. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. The prophet of thought. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. The prophet of thought. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. The prophet of thought. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind.
Only from T.P.O.T.